A Twin Cities man faces possible jail time for feeding birds in his own backyard.
Take a look at some video taken back in December by one of Craig Brown's neighbors. Those neighbors have complained, saying his hobby has created a nuisance for the community. Rachel Slavic talked to both sides on the issue today, and how can feeding birds lead to possible jail time?
It's all in the ordinance. In Bloomington, it is legal to use bird feeders as long as they're 5 feet off the ground. But what neighbors and the charges allege is that Brown went a step beyond that and actually threw feed onto the ground, which is illegal. He denies that and says it's all a misunderstanding.
I loved my hobby. I loved watching the birds.
For years, Craig Brown tried to make his backyard a haven for birds.
The key things are giving them food, a water source, and cover in case there's predators around, and they had all that in the yard.
But today, not one feathered friend in sight.
I get very few of them in the yard anymore.
Months ago, Craig removed the biggest attraction, food, after he said a few feeders landed him in trouble with the law.
I am nervous. They have the right to send me to jail for
Video
90
taken
days.
by a neighbor in December shows just how popular Craig's yard became. And it wasn't just birds. Neighbors said the food brought rodents, which then chewed on their property.
You have an impact on your neighbors. Your backyard and what you do in it can damage the livability of your neighbor's house.
Craig says his bird feeding did fall in line with the city ordinance.
I was still putting the feed in the feeders, so I was kind of like, I'm doing it legally, but I'm getting these ducks in here. What do I do?
But the criminal complaint tells a different story, saying Craig deliberately threw food on the ground.
And in this case, I believe the resident was initially warned, but he continued to feed on the ground.
Now, as he prepares to fight for a hobby he can no longer enjoy,
I promise they'll never see a bird feeder in my yard again.
he realizes a not guilty verdict is not necessarily a win.
It's ruined it for me. I can never do it again.
Now, Craig says the food on the ground actually came from the feeders knocked down by the birds as they ate. He did have the option to avoid jail time by pleading guilty, but it is a misdemeanor charge, which means it does stay on your record, and that was his concern.
Does there seem to be any other way of getting this resolved, Rachel?
Well, the city attorney said there is a way. Essentially, he would have to pay the fine and be on probation for a year, but if he didn't have any violations, then it wouldn't stay on his record after that 1 year's time.
Got it. All right, Rachel, thank you.